The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
For quite some time be in any position to be of help. I too did not receive any care that I pay for in my taxes. So we are equal victims.
Yes.
The only difference is that in my case, at least, my wife has a medical insurance that also affords me an opportunity to be treated outside the country. And on the basis of that health insurance, I was able to get treated elsewhere other than here. So this is what I think the life and death of Adam Mulwana captures. And that is why he leaves us a big debt to make sure that a country that has failed him the way it has, a regime that has failed him the way it has. And mark you, Mulwana was an orphan. His father died in 1983 in Ruwero. You know,
the irony.
Yes, you know, his father's death is part of the sacrifices that brought this regime into power.
Yes.
A regime that has betrayed him to that extent, not offered education, not cared for his product, which he, in very difficult circumstances, produced so that his product can benefit him, not offered health care to him that eventually is indeed betrayed to his death.
Yeah.
So he leaves that burden of debt to all Ugandans to make sure that really we create a new Uganda. That betrayal that Mr. Museveni and his family has set upon us must come to an end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Maybe for me, what stands out is that this gentleman did not need to be a politician to join the struggle, really. I think everybody can come with anything they can contribute. Someone can be morale boosting, another can be the politician, another can be a cook. I think everybody can really join the struggle for change. Doctor, today we are celebrating Janan Luwum Day. And this is an icon of Africa. Who was best here in Uganda, who stood against something many people did not have the guts to stand against. And he would have been able to run away, he would have been able to not participate, but he was willing to lose his life for a betterment of Uganda. Doctor, to what extent has Uganda learned from the death of Janan Luwum in 1977?
Well, certainly, Luwum, as you indeed say, Archbishop Janan is one of those few heroes of all time from our country. And it was therefore fitting to have a day that celebrates his life, that recognizes his life. And on each of these days, I also recognize the effort, especially that was infused into the process that created this day by Ambassador Olara Otunu In fact, he almost single-handedly shepherded, campaigned, and worked hard to deliver this recognition onto Janan Room. And I feel rather sad and in fact really conflicted over what goes on this day when I see it becoming another NRM day.
What do you mean?
There is every attempt to NRMize the Janan Room Day, very regrettably. And I think the last one was celebrated in State House. You know, and the reason, the sole reason the Janan Room is a saint, is celebrated, is the courage and the sacrifice for freedom that he embodies for freedom. And that is, you can't talk about freedom and then NRM junta in the same sentence. You know, because you know, when we are talking about people, forced disappearances like happened at the time of the death of Janan Room. They are the same things that Janan Room was raising his voice against are the very things that are being done by those who now want to lead the celebration. The same things, you know, torture, extrajudicial killing, you know, the fact that people cannot gather freely to talk about what concerns them, you know, that they will be tear gassed and beaten and dispersed. Yesterday, but one I was in court,
Yes.
charged with inciting violence, or incitement to violence is the charge. And you know, it's like a drama, because the policeman who was on the scene was asked what was happening at the scene from which I was arrested, and he said the population, there were many people who were very happy and and you know, were cheering. So why would you arrest somebody talking to people who are cheering, who are happy, and you charge him to him? And they asked him, so was anybody ever injured? He said, no. So the question, that is the junta that is associating itself with Janan Room, who fought that such things don't happen. You see?
Yes,
it's a contradiction in terms. The idea is that the Ugandans who have faced terrible regimes have a cause to celebrate the life of Janan Room. Because he sacrificed his life for the freedom of others. But among those sacrifices was that we shouldn't have a junta like we have today, that is also killing people, torturing people, maiming people, depriving people of freedom to organize and freely talk, and that. In other words, he sacrificed his life so that we should not have anything like NRM.
Are you trying to say NRM is worse than government?
I don't want to go into the league of comparing evils. I am just saying it is evil, no doubt. And I don't think anybody can separate NRM really from evil. NRM today, I was NRM,
Yes.
And so I say these words with a lot of heaviness in my heart. Because I sacrificed also to bring NRM to power.
Yes, you did.
But the NRM that has become evil, the NRM that is torturing me, So all I am saying is that Loum should not stand on the same pedestal with the evil he died challenging. It's a desecration, There is a desecration of the Loum portrait by NRM. And I think this should really be condemned. Should be, yes. And I think there should be a protest not to have the Loum legacy smeared by people doing the same things he died fighting or opposing or speaking against. Now to be the ones to carry his image as if they have anything in common. I really detest it. Yeah.
How about the religious leaders? Because this gentleman was an archbishop.
Yes.
Today, do you think the religious leaders have followed suit? Where is the problem today?
Well, some have stood up, like Janan. I think some have. And have also paid their own prices for doing so. Even under this junta, you must have seen Bishop Zach kneeling here, being tear gassed and hounded, and I think now he lives in the US.
Yes.
So some have stood up. We saw the Bishop, Luanga and others who have stood up and spoken, and indeed some are no longer here. So, yes, some have stood up. But also, having said that, there is absolutely no doubt that many have betrayed their calling. Because you see, the calling of service to God is a very special calling. You must separate yourself and provide the leadership along that path that leads to God. Yes. And one of the requirements of that calling is to become a voice of those who can't speak. You must be a voice for the voiceless. You must be willing to stand up where others fear, to speak for them, to cover them when they are being terrorized. You must be, frankly, the greatest majority of our religious leaders today, and then even the times of Rome have betrayed that calling. You know, that is a matter of fact. In fact, the greatest majority, and it's not, you know, danger is, it's dangerous to do what Rome did.
Yes.
And so I am not judgmental, but the fact is that they have betrayed. You know, it's like Saint Peter, you know. Jesus said, "You will deny me," and he did. I don't know that man. when the trouble, when the
Because would you really blame him?
no, this is why I'm saying I'm not judgmental, but the fact is that they betray their calling. That fact too must be made clear. You know,
Yes.
They choose the safer, easy road. But as we all know, the wide road goes to hell. That is also a fact that they preach about, that you take the highway, we know where the highway leads. It's the narrow path, the difficult path that eventually goes to the right place.
Yes.
So it's sad that indeed the majority of our religious leaders are on the highway to the wrong place, following these evil leaders. You know, unfortunately, that is the reality. You know, clapping and
Is it because of the
and
money that
collecting
comes?
sacks of
Exactly.
money and so on, and doing and supporting the wrong things? That is a fact, which is what separates, what distinguishes, what you know, makes eminent the contribution of Janan Luum and others who have chosen to live what their calling demands. As I've said, they are not very many, but they are there even today. I've seen priests, you know, speak fearlessly. I've seen quite a number of priests speak fearlessly for the people. Say this is wrong where they see wrong. And I salute, you know, those priests or sheikhs. There are quite a number of them. We've had quite a number of fearless sheikhs that have spoken and paid the price for their talking.
But the interreligious council that joins these people in the same docket wants now government to be able to give them some money in part of the budgets, the annual budget, just a sideline.
That is a different matter. I actually support, I think...
Isn't that buying them off? Because how can you speak against someone who has given you money?
I think what is buying off is the handouts that are given capriciously, you know, that are given without any formula. And we know the sacred formula is the praise singers are the ones who are given handouts. I think because you see, religion is also an institution and it has a following, and the following can be quantified.
Yes.
Adherents of any faith are registered actually, you know, and so you can say the Muslim faith has so many adherents, and the Muslim leaders can do public work amongst the Muslims and actually provide public goods amongst the Muslims. They do health care.
Yes.
They provide education. They provide, and they provide guidance on many things. So I think it is right for the public through the consolidated fund to support their work officially, to say, okay, we budget, just like now there is public support for political parties. You can provide the public support for religious institutions according to their adherents. And the adherents can be verified. And you can, and that, so that people don't have to first of all go and kneel before Mr. Museveni and then say, now you give that one so much, now you, I'm building a church for you, I am, you know, that patronage is what is, I think, very harmful. And I don't think that Mr. Museveni should have billions to donate. That money can, for in the case of religious institutions, be budgeted as of right and given to those institutions.
Okay. 45 minutes past 12 p.m. I have many messages coming through. I'll be reading them in the second hour. Mwesi Jejoram, you are here. Brian Kakumba, you are here. I'm seeing Kakwenza Rukirabaseja. We have Robert Mayanja watching. All of you, continue sending in those messages and comments. I'll be reading them subsequently as we continue with the program. Before you go for the break, I wanted us to first start on the issue of the education sector. Yesterday, the UCE results were released. Over 360,000 candidates were participated, and at least 90% of these candidates passed. I cannot use the word excelled, but I can use the word passed. Before even delving into the primary living examinations too that were released recently, Doctor, what do you think of first the UCE results that were released, but generally this concept of the education system that we have today? Where are we going? Is there something that is critical that you can highlight and say the education is successful in this way, or we need to improve here?
Well, my views on this subject.
And just to add on that, in the release of the UCE examinations, the First Lady and Minister for Education reiterated that we should increase the budget for the UPE and Uganda secondary schools. Maybe let's start from there.
Yeah, my views about this matter are well known, and I have talked about the absence of support for education in this country repeatedly, and really frustrated that the country is silent as education dies. I think we will never be forgiven. The generations that are alive today will never be forgiven for killing education, because that's what we have done. While talking about Mulwana, I pointed out to you that in these 40 years of Mr. Museveni, we have seen the destruction of the education system that educated him. That Mr. Museveni could gain education from public schools and has superintended over the destruction of public schools. That's what he has done.
You privatize the economy.
You see, education is a public good. It's not a private thing. It's a public good. And yes, you can privatize traders and factories. Education, I beg your pardon, is a public good. And I have talked about and presented on this program how countries in the world fund education. You know? You see, the strength of any country resides in the knowledge that resides in that country. That's what determines the strength of any country. Knowledge or otherwise. Today, Africa, forget about Uganda alone, Africa has an existential danger because of the absence of knowledge. Knowledge, the knowledge gap between Africa and other countries. And so the building of knowledge cannot be left just to parents. That if a parent has no interest or ability to build knowledge in their children, that is the end of it, they are condemned. Because intelligence is God-given. And it will reside anywhere, whether your parents are gifted to have ability to educate you or not. It is that potential that every country must capture and develop. That's why education must be a public good. When Mr. Museveni was growing up, there were also some private schools for those who failed to access government schools.
Oh.
Yes, the leftovers.
So private was for the leftovers?
Absolutely. They would go and be cared for in the private schools. Today it is the opposite,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
And that is what is the biggest crime, I think, that the NRM junta has done for this country, you know? And, you know, I've told you that what is budgeted to support a child in our primary and the most important element of education is at the lowest level, where you build the foundation.
Yes.
We provide a capitation of $3 per child. $3 per year per child. $3. 10,000 shillings. In fact, it's less than $1 is now 3,800 shillings. So $3 is now close to 12,000 shillings. We pay 10,000 shillings per child per year. That means every term is about 3,000.
And there's a private school charging 4 million for that child.
Yes. Even that is not, should not. So
they're all going in the same
I
future.
have compared this. You see, in the developed world,
Yes, sir.
a child is provided between, you know, $7,000 and about $40,000, depending on the different countries' abilities.
Per child.
So you are comparing a child in whom you are investing $3 to compete with a child in whom they are investing a minimum of $7,000. And you think you will compete. It's nonsense. You know, I've seen on social media somebody was comparing what they do in primary school. In the one school, they have equipment, they are learning how to make all kinds of things. Every kid has a table with equipment and so on. And in our schools, they were a teacher teaching them, I don't know to repeat. It's a joke that we are engaged in.
Yes.
And my anger is not towards Mr. Museveni and his junta,
Yes,
because their mission, anybody who cares to know their mission will know that they are working well on their own mission. My anger goes to the parents of these kids that are being condemned. My anger goes to all these citizens who are sitting around as the death of their society is going on. So you have Mrs. Museveni, who is the Minister of Education, you know, and with all due respect, you know, she is a symbol of the absence of, I think, because she got her education degree fraudulently itself. Everybody knows that. You know, to have an education, to have a degree in education, the most important thing is to do in that process is to have experience in teaching, so that you know what it takes to provide information to kids and for kids to get it.
Yes.
What they call practical, you know, the teaching practice. How do you get a degree when you have never done any teaching practice anywhere? That you have been given lessons in State House and you go to graduate as a teacher. It's wrong. And Makerere should be ashamed of itself for producing Mrs. Museveni and giving her a degree of Makerere University, where I got my own degree. You are abusing me. I'm sorry. Because the standards must be kept regardless of the station of somebody in society. The standard of education must be maintained. So, somebody who gets an education degree fraudulently is the Minister of Education. That's where it starts, you know.
Yes, sir.
And I hear she doesn't even go to Parliament to account. Parliament has to go to her in State House if it wants her.
She has 2 offices. So.
Yeah, but does she come? You see, public accountability is through Parliament. You must go to Parliament, which is public. It's like a court where me, a citizen, can also go and hear what is going on. She has not sat in Parliament for the last 3 years. She has never been to Parliament. Yet she's the Minister of Education. So she doesn't account to Ugandans. She sits in State House releasing results, and that is a function, you know, and media releasing. That is not an important thing. Results can be released whether the minister is there or not, you know. But there are more important things that should be taken care of, that are not being taken care of. People are talking about the fees structure.
Yes.
And there have been demands and so on in Parliament, nowhere to be seen.
Doctor,
the junior minister, her junior minister, is one of the biggest private school owners, is the junior minister. How will the conflict of interest, and I of course also hear that she herself has also interests in schools. So that conflict of interest, we have been saying that private schools have become the center of education and public schools have died. So if you are the biggest private school owner, how will you take interest in the public schools you are supposed to oversee?
Look, let's start from there.
So the conflict of interest and so on is part of the scam that education faces today.
Okay. There is also an interesting statistic that I'm going to point out, that in the PLE results, on average, the best districts were Mbarara, were Ntungamo, Bushenyi, Mbarara, and the rest of the like. Many people have been skeptic about this. Doctor, I want to pick your comment on that. But before I hear from Dr. Besigye, let's go for a short commercial break. You're still watching the Interface Show. I'm seeing your messages here. I'm going to be reading them. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Let's go for a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Hi, Rogers. Can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be normal.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Looking for a pair of shoes? Les Up Stores has a wide range of selection for unisex footwear. We have the best quality of all brands at pocket-friendly prices and we make deliveries countrywide. Just place your order or reach us on 0772 08 0090. You can also check up at Les Up Stores on all our social media platforms. Les Up, craft your own footprints.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Minutes past 1 p.m. You're still watching the Interface Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karahanga. I'm still with retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, one of the veteran politicians in Uganda's history, and you can say one of the people who has influenced a lot of individuals to take part in the politics of this country. Before we continue with the show, there is a book here. It's called Cancer Ate My Bones, God Preserved My Spirit. It's by a lady called Rusia Orikiriza Bariho. She survived cancer, beating stage 4 cancer 4 times, and she wrote a book about this experience. You can procure it from here at Digitalk TV, or you can just call 0701 800 That is Mr. Mokose Arnold Anthony. 0701 800 This book, you can be able to get it and just listen from the experience of this lady, what she goes through, and some of the lessons and insights she shares in this book. It's a very, very, very great book that everybody should be able to procure. Remember, if you want it, you can call Mr. Mokose Arnold Anthony, 0701 800 He'll be able to help you get this book. Okay, now let's continue with the discussion. Doctor, before you went for a break, we were talking about the education sector, and there is a conspiracy theory going on that most of the people who are getting the best are coming from a certain region. And many people started this issue when the PME results were released. The districts that on average were the best were coming from the western region. I told you Ntungamo, Bushenyi, Mbarara, to mention but a few. And many people think this is not by coincidence. Some others have reiterated the fact about the universities that are there. Most of them are science-based universities, and it feels, according to some individuals, that it is intentional. There is something that is being programmed by a few individuals to make sure that maybe some professionals or the best and relevant professionals come from a certain region. Do you believe in this, or what do you think about this conspiracy theory?
Well, you see, I don't know a lot about what is causing the different things that are happening. But what is not in doubt, I think, is that over the last nearly 40 years, Mr. Museveni and his family have been building some kind of an apartheid system. Separate development. Exactly. That one is not, I talk quite emotionally about some of these things that have happened. Because, you know, the reason you have, and he, you know, he talks very freely about it. He says, you know, we are making UPE for those who have for the, you know, for the lowest people. They are the ones we are making this education for. You know, people who are who have no choice. You know, that's where it's the dumping ground for them. And you know, it's fundamentally wrong. The other time we were here, I was telling you about the preferential education that was in that Kanyariero school. Yes, Kanyariero. You know, where they fund, where, you know, the $3 per year does not apply. Yet they get the money from the same pocket as the others who get $3. So they use public money to provide a different type of education for some people, including in, you know, secondary schools like Ntare, where Mr. Museveni studied. It's a public school. It was built by our money. It is still funded by the state. But to go to Ntare school, you must pay something like close to 3 million a term. In other words, it has been now set aside for the privileged. A Museveni of those days cannot go to Ntare where he went today. He has made it exclusive for the rest of his type to go there. You know, this is the shameful thing that has happened in education. And it's not just education. They have created the country, an apartheid system in the country. Healthcare, you know, ordinary people will, you know, go to the government institutions to die. This is why I was in all my campaigns calling it, you know, death centers. They are not health centers, they are death centers. You go there knowing you are going, you have no option. Where else can I go? Let me go to the death center, die there. You know? Because where else you could get some slightly better health care is unaffordable. So even in the government, the very government institutions, you know, I have again talked here about the experience I personally faced when I took a patient to Mulago. And they had to write everything she had to buy in order to be operated on.
Yes.
Including gowns for theater for the doctors. The patient in Mulago has to buy. And they write, I have a list, and we bought. Yes. I have a list of everything, including this, the thread, the stitches, the suture material, which they will use to stitch the wounds. The patient has to provide before the patient can be taken to theater.
So if they don't have money, that one is dead.
This is in the National Referral Hospital. So when we talk about education, I am very, very emotional because I grew up when both my parents had died. My district, then Kigezi district, gave me a bursary because orphans were given bursaries by the district. My district gave me a bursary that would pay all my fees for secondary school. Everything paid for by the district. And of course it was even then not, you know, so much as it is. I can't remember what the school fees that time in secondary school was, because the shilling of then and now have no relevance, you know. But it was in, I think the school fees was possibly in hundreds. It could have been like 120 or something shillings a term, or 90 shillings a term, because as I have said, when I started school, my school fees was 3 shillings a term. So, you know, what has happened to education is possibly the single biggest disaster that this country will face.
25
because
years from now.
even these ones, they say they have passed.
Yes.
If you interrogate if you analyze the knowledge they have, and you see them jubilating they have passed, you find they really have no knowledge.
Yes.
That you can equate to the knowledge that other people have, you know. Even here within the country, as I have said, there are people with different curricula.
Yes.
Those children of ministers, or most ministers, maybe not all, will be in the international school system. Those are not among those whose results are being announced. Those have a different system altogether. And once they finish maybe the high school here, they go to universities abroad. Their systems don't lead them to Makerere or to university, the Christian university, or to the, no, they lead them to other universities. So this is the, what I'm telling you, that we have developed an apartheid type of education.
25 years from now, what does that mean to the country? 25 years from today?
It doesn't, you don't have to wait for 25 years. Even today, the products of education from all our universities are unemployable, literally. You know, that's the result. Today, don't have to wait for 25 years. When we qualified, you could take your degree and get registered to practice medicine anywhere. You could. With Makerere Medical School degree, you could get registered.
One would say the professionals were few.
To practice anywhere.
The professionals were few at the time.
The professionals were in the world. No. You see, even
today
now,
there is a lot of education. People have been
no,
literate,
the question is whether, you see, because now, even to go to Kenya, you are required to do an exam in order to be registered, in order to be eligible to practice. If you have come from Makerere and you go to, you must sit an exam to prove that you are registrable. That is the situation I'm talking about, you know? And that is the whole range of products that we have, you know? And you know, you find students, I have seen, even now, I haven't analyzed, but, and by the way, I think I should congratulate a certain girl, you know, which, you know, this girl, very, very, there is a girl called Gloria Ejang. This is a girl who did primary school in some remote primary school in Otuke, and got 4 points. Wow. And she got eventually a scholarship from some people and went to secondary school. She has got 8 in 8, but she got 2 in English. So she did 10 subjects, and in 8 she has 8, but she got a 2 in English. And I was wondering, you know, why? So she has 1 in mathematics, 1 in physics, 1 in chemistry, 1 in all this, but 2 in English. And I've been looking at the school, you know, the schools of other, you see girls who are getting, or boys who are getting 1, 1, 1, 5 in English. 1, 1, 1, 6 in English. So, and it is, so even just communication, you know, you see a write-up from our students, and I'm not saying English is anything special, but it's a medium of communication. You know, that's how you express yourself, you interact with others, you do, or you know, if we had Kiswahili, if we were training people in Kiswahili, that would be a great thing. Yeah. And you would have to speak a good Kiswahili to communicate and express yourself and market yourself and do. And you know, it used to be compulsory to pass English in order to advance.
Yes.
Of course, maybe because of the colonial, but also because it's critical to have the ability to communicate effectively. It seems English is one of those that has now clearly receded, because when you talk to people coming out of the university and you assess their English, it's really worrying. It's really worrying.
Doctor, there is a question here from a gentleman called Kwehayo Vernon. He says, Doctor, please talk about Uganda's universities versus Council of Higher Education in relation to the expired degrees since you are in the education sector. Who is to blame? the expired courses these days that people are studying?
Well, it is, you see, it is a dysfunctional system. The system of education, which I have talked about, is simply dysfunctional. And it will not change. This is what I've been saying, you know, that we really must have a grand reset for the country to start picking up and moving in a coordinated and systematic way. There is dysfunctionality at every level, whether it is at the they call it Center for Higher Education. What do they? That
National Council for Higher Education.
National Council for Higher Education. There is dysfunctionality. At the ministry level, the entire policy making level, there is dysfunctionality. At the local administration level, in the district councils, there is dysfunctionality. At the level of the institutions themselves,
Yes, sir.
what we call universities in courts, there is a total dysfunctionality in all of them, including Makerere, which should have been the example for all others. I have been telling you what is happening at Makerere at the moment.
They even procure degrees these days.
Yeah, so there is dysfunctionality at all level. It does not make sense to try and assign responsibility for one of the problems that bedevils the system. The whole system, and it's not just education, it's not just health, which I referred to, it is in the whole system of governance. It's because the focus of the junta led by the Museveni family is not public good. It's not the public good. It is building a private good for themselves and actually crippling all others so that they may not challenge it. That is, so even the killing of education, the killing of business, the impoverishment, I have been saying, is structural. It's deliberate. And
That is worrying.
we just have to overhaul the whole lot and build state systems afresh.
So these inefficiencies actually help in some people, whereas some people think that it's just an inefficiency, but it's actually deliberate in nature, as said by Dr. Besigye. Jared Tuhame says, as said by Dr., when top government officials are in private schools, are in the private schools business like Jesse Muyingo, then there has to be a conflict of interest, meaning regional schools can't perform. Chris Kapida said High should be investigated. The minister and owner of the schools could be cheating exams. Maybe that is your opinion. Asingwire Pass says Jesus Christ was a matter, as well as Jonah Lumu, and many more matters. Unless we solve political question, otherwise we shall have laws like that of Egypt during the time when of Pharaoh's parliament to kill boys born of Jewish origin. It became law. You recall the parliament of Herod's despotism. The law was passed to kill boys of 2 years and below. It's high time we woken up and defy such laws. From Rukunjiri in my eggplant garden, be blessed as you continue. Thank you so much, Pass, for this message. I have a few messages here. Monday Vincent, you're watching live from Fort Portal. Thank you so much. Doctor, are you showing up in the 2026 elections? You will highlight on that. Ganda Simon, I heard you not contest again in any election, but kindly show us someone you have groomed to step in your shoes, because you did us a disservice in 2021 and the opposition has total gone down on the graph scale of power taking. Maybe I'll lastly talk to Reform FDC. Mr. President, as an organization, we condole with you for the loss of your friend and colleague, Adam Mulwana. We pray that Allah receives him and judges him fairly. We shall never forget him. Now, remember, Angela, thank you so much for watching. Sogo Blitheb Moses, you're watching. Lumu Paluku, you're watching. Robert Mayanja, thank you so much for watching. You're saying you're watching from Luzira, thank you. Brian Tuikirizane, thank you so much. Gerard Tuhame, all of you guys are sending in those messages. Let me first stop there. We continue with the discussion. Maybe if you have time, I'll read more messages as we continue. Doctor, do you want to maybe respond to a few of those comments before we delve into the issue of Tarahisita and NRA making?
Well, I don't know whether there are any comments really that need response, save maybe for one or two that I had referring to elections.
Yes.
And to those, really, I must register my concern, because I really worry when I still hear people thinking that elections, whether I am a candidate or whether I show that this is a better candidate or is another candidate we should support, whether they think that candidate will cause the changes we are talking about. It's not possible, because the level of capture of the state, first of all, Mr. Museveni, whom we want to change, and his family rule, did not come to power by election. He has not stayed in power by election. He has stayed in power because he has guns, and he uses those guns to terrorize everybody. That's how he has, he came to power by guns. He has stayed in office using guns. His family has power not because they are elected. No. You know, Muhoozi, who is now parading himself as the successor,
yes,
is doing so, breaking the law very vagrantly. You know, he's still in uniform of UPDF, getting a salary of UPDF, and then I guess another one as an advisor to his father, and now leading a political party, all in violation of the law, and nobody can touch him. He holds rallies, we can't. And this one who is saying, come to the election. If I cannot hold the meeting now, if I cannot come and hold the meeting, the other day we were trying to hold the meeting, we were locked up at home. So how do you expect that in that environment you will go to the election, and that election will say, you know, people have voted for change and the change will come? It won't. If we want change in this country, let me say it for the 1,000th time, the only way we shall have change in Uganda to get the Uganda we want is through a revolution, not an election. We must carry out a revolution. We must scoop all this mess and get it by the side. A revolution, popular revolution. The people of Uganda must, and that's what I was being sued for, that I am, that this is incitement to violence, that I was asking people to rise up and cause change. That's what you must do. I am prepared to answer in court. I can see, yes, you know, transition, not succession. We must transit from gun rule to people rule. That's what, and that transition won't come without a fight. We must fight for it. Not with the guns this time, we advocate. But if we rise up, all of us, and say, no, we want better education, we want better health, we want better roads, we want the power to use our money to serve us, not money to go to State House and be used by Mr. Museveni the way he wants, as happens now. You know, that will take a revolution. So I am not coming to you to seek your vote, because you have no vote. You don't have power to choose. That vote is not a piece of paper they give you. Vote is your voice and effect of it. You don't have it. So I'm coming to you to ask you to organize and we carry out a revolution in this country. That's the bottom line. We must have a revolution. And the earlier, the better. Because if we don't act in a timely way, we will become weaker and weaker from all these machinations of lack of knowledge, lack of health, lack of money. We will become weak and weak until we are no longer able to liberate ourselves. And that's how society has become extinct. We shall become extinct, because even now people are dying everywhere in the banana plantations. There are burials even today of people who shouldn't have died, who just were betrayed by the absence of public health care. And so the earlier we really get this clarion call for a revolution, the better for all of us.
Some people have a perspective that you just fear the election because you will lose. And especially at a time like this when Mr. Muhoozi has also garnered support of people who are willing to go.
Well, if I fear because I will lose, at least I have company in Mr. Museveni. Because that's what he must have feared. Why didn't he come to power through an election? If I fear the election because I will lose, it means he feared because he would lose. And I have no problem with that, you see. If there is anybody who cannot see the military that goes out in the election, because that's not what should be there. There was an election in Kenya. Did anybody see guns on the streets? You know, the amount of money that is poured out of our money that is brought out to buy people, to do what, you know, all this, the fact that indeed we cannot hold meetings, is that because I fear to talk to the people? The fact that I can only talk on digital, but when I go to hold a rally, I am tear gassed. Is that because I fear to go and hold a rally? So these are the realities. And I am simply making the clarion call for a revolution, especially to the young people. Me, I am about to become 70 years. The lifespan given by the Bible, that our years are 70. I am, and I have, first of all, I fought and won a war.
Yes, you did. You definitely won a war.
I am fighting another one.
Definitely.
You, the young people, who still have 50, 60 years to live here in hell. It is to you that I make the rallying call, that you must save yourselves. I will do my bit in that process, and I have not sat down in spite of indeed being much older than you people. I am still fighting.
Okay.
But it is your duty, it is you who have to save yourselves, so that you can have a decent education, so that you can have decent health, so that you can have good roads, so that you can have good water wherever, so that you can have good houses to live in, you know. That it is yourselves.
You the people who are advocating for a change in this country, it looks like you are at a downward trend. DP, you can say, is now with the ruling
No,
government.
the people advocating
NUPs,
for change
yeah.
is not parties. It is Ugandans.
These are the caravans that
The
Ugandans
people to carry
believe in.
out the revolution is not the parties. It is the population. This is why I called it a popular revolution. It's not a party revolution. It's a popular revolution. Whether you have a party or not, the thing is that you must organize for a revolution.
Okay, Doctor. Let's delve into the issue of, lastly, as we finish up the show, UPDF celebrates, or you can say the government that took power in 1986 celebrates 38 years in power, and after they were celebrating Tarehe Sita. When we look at this UPDF, and not just UPDF, generally the security institutions of this country, do you think, what do you think about their independence today? Or have we evolved, have they grown to become national institutions that Ugandans can believe and confide in?
You see, the trouble is that our people, first of all, I think are lazy, they don't read. But I would invite, especially those who still have some claim to be NRM, to read what their leader Museveni said of the struggle that brought NRM to power, which led to the death of 500,000 people. You should read. He clearly said that the problem of Uganda, the most fundamental problem of Uganda is the politics, not the economy, not the security, not the, it is the politics. It is when the politics go wrong,
Yes.
that the economy goes wrong, that the security goes wrong, that the services go wrong, that everything goes wrong following the politics going wrong. And so he said that we must solve the political question in order to solve all these problems. He has since said that the political question was solved by having a constitution of 1995. Absolutely not, because a constitution is a document. Constitution is not the politics. Constitution is just a document, like we had a document at independence. It did not solve the problem because this is not the first constitution. Even the one of 1995 is no longer there. It has been mutilated. So the problem is not documents. The problem starts with whether citizens are sovereign, whether the people of Uganda have all the power of Uganda, whether it is vested in them. That is the political question. The political question is not documents or anything. It's sovereignty is the political question. And the people of Uganda should debate whether they are sovereign, whether they whether they indeed enjoy all the power. Are they sovereign? And I can demonstrate, leaving out no shade of doubt, that the sovereign in Uganda is Museveni. He holds all power. He is the sovereign, and everything else. And because you see, institutions, systems of government serve the sovereign.
Yes.
That's why in places where you have monarchies, like in England, they say this is the royal parliament, Her Majesty's or His Majesty's royal parliament. It's a parliament to service the sovereign, because the king or the queen is the sovereign. And so all institutions serve the sovereign. And that is exactly what we have in Uganda. Of course, in those countries, they have a constitutional monarch. The power is not in the constitutional monarch, it's ceremonial. The power has, since they carried out revolutions, and power went to the people through their representatives in parliament. But here, where the House of Parliament is invaded by soldiers, and they are beaten in front of cameras. And there is not even the slightest investigation of how that could be. Where you are in court and courts make a decision that the sovereign doesn't want. And the soldiers invade the courts and beat up everybody and stop the decision of court. You cannot say that you are in a country where people are sovereign. Absolutely not. You know, where elections, as I have said, are mediated by guns and all the chaos that goes with it. You cannot say that you have people as sovereign.
Yes.
Indeed, the people of Uganda, from time immemorial, have never been able to raise somebody to become a president. Never. Since independence, nobody has come to the presidency because they have raised them. They use other means. So that is the political question that must be resolved. Sovereignty. Once we resolve the sovereignty question, then, you know, others can be resolved. That you have, what I have been telling you, that you have a Mr. Muhoozi, because he is the son of the sovereign, and therefore a prince. He is above the law. He is in the military that cannot discipline him. Absolutely not. He can't. And nobody can discipline him. You know? The other time when he attacked Kenya, it was his father to apologize to Kenya. Sorry about my son who said all these things, you know. And it's like we have no institutions, you know. He couldn't be, because that violated the army code. But there is no army, because it is, yes, it is His Royal Majesty's army. So it cannot, it is not the people, Uganda People's Defense Force. No, that is a total misnomer.
What do you think about this?
It is His Royal Majesty, His Royal Majesty Museveni's army.
This Museveni's army.
His Royal Majesty Museveni's police. And in this case is the absolute monarch, not a constitutional one, just absolute monarch. Is the sovereign, in every sense the sovereign. That is what must change. And so you cannot have an election where you have the sovereign and somebody is competing from within his sovereignty, competing with him in an election. It's ridiculous. You see? Because, you know, you have a person like
Exactly.
Now the phone distracted. You see, when you have a person like the Byabakama, is Byabakama really, does he even in the slightest dream consider that he is responsible to the people of Uganda? Byabakama. Never. He sees Museveni as his, and Museveni at some stage said he is the second person to God. And I think that's exactly what Byabakama sees. You know, he sees, that's what Mr. Museveni said. He said the president is next to God. And that's what Mr. Byabakama, you see, the president we want must be a servant And sometimes, you know, when I tell people that even when we win this struggle, I don't want to be a president. Some people don't understand it because they are used to the president who is a sovereign.
Yes, pompous.
I want to be the sovereign. When I win the war, I want to be the sovereign as the people, not as a servant. I must remain as the people and order my servants to serve me. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting so that I can get servants, not masters. You see? So a person like Byabakama the other time was ordered to prosecute me for rape. This Byabakama here, the electoral commissioner, he was a prosecutor. He was ordered to prosecute me for rape. And he prosecuted me, well knowing, unashamedly. And he brought, he was there, he brought to another policeman, a policewoman called Elizabeth Kutesa, who was a director of CID. She came to court and she was caught there in the court under oath telling lies. I have never heard of where Elizabeth Kutesa is. Since then, she was hidden somewhere from her own shame. She was Byabakama's star witness in framing a citizen, that Byabakama. Now carrying a heart of a judge, appointed by the same Museveni. So is he really a judge? Somebody who was the other day used to frame citizens. And as a reward, he's made a judge, he's made electoral commissioner. And you think he's an electoral commissioner of the people of Uganda? You must be joking, He's not. Even, the electoral commissioner should not be having another post. He's still a serving judge.
Yeah.
In violation of the law, still being
His contract was renewed.
Yes, yes.
With that.
He has not relinquished his post. So, if anybody is thinking that you can have an election that will cause the changes we want, you need to think again.
But back to the security and the UPDF. Many people are looking at it from a perspective of saying they're now professional. You are seeing them being disciplined sometimes for being indisciplined.
No, but I've just told you the most clear example of what it is. That it is an army of Mr. Museveni, not of the people of Uganda. That is the most important element. To whom are they responsible? If they cannot be disciplined by the law, or at least if Museveni is above the law, and his son is above the law, and both are in charge of the military, how can that be our military? So, among the things to be liberated, the struggle we are undertaking, among the things to liberate are all state institutions, including the UPDF. I was a member of the UPDF. Resistance officer, RO, number 98. That is my number. In the resistance army, resistance officer, those numbers have never changed. They are still RO.
Still
even when it became UPDF, we are still RO. Resistance officers. And I truly believe we have to liberate that force. if it is to be a national force. Because I have said elsewhere that what happened in 1986 was that NRA captured power and handed it over to NRM. But shortly after that, Museveni captured both NRM and NRA. And that's why we are where we are. Because NRM was captured first and NRA with it. So we have to liberate the UPDF. Those who believed in NRM have to liberate, there is no NRM party. There is nothing. There is nothing called NRM party.
Is it okay for these men with guns to be the ones taking on the 10 years of constructing roads, constructing buildings, doing literally...
Well, they have to serve the sovereign. What the master says, that's what they must do. They are now just servants of Mr. Museveni. This is what I'm telling you, which is why...
All that shows that there is a development
Which
from
is-
just men holding guns to be able to
Yeah,
start
you
doing
see-
things that are constructive. Though they are still holding the guns.
They are the source of power of Mr. Museveni. It's a tool for his power, and he will deploy it anywhere. So he deploys it in the police, he deploys it in the economy to distribute seeds, he deploys it wherever he wants. It's his tool. It's his Nichombo. It's his tool. And that's what must be liberated.
Okay.
And that's why even my clarion call goes to all those serving there. They are citizens of this country. They swear by the Constitution. They must liberate the UPDF. We cannot have a UPDF in which there is a 4-star general that is above the law. And you are serving in the same force. And you can be tried, but the others who can't be tried. The members of the UPDF have a duty to liberate the UPDF, together with all of us. Yeah, that is really where things are.
Okay, let me go through a few messages here. Jeremiah Mchibi, you are watching. Thank you so much for watching. I'll start with Okugenda Munyanja Kufuna Bugaga. Follow the light. Let's continue. Innocent Paide, Muhozi project is a diversion. Saleh is the one being prepared. Muhozi will just come to Saleh, or maybe even Janet. Muhozi will come later. Anyway, whoever comes in, but please do meaningful things to the country. There is Aina Umhwezi Patrick. Keep on teaching, Doctor. Maybe one day, one time, people will understand what you talk about. He continues to say, yes, Doctor, it's so paining because the schools we studied in the 80s and we were from families with less income, grown up by single moms. Now take our children, our children, you must sweat plasma. Then Chris Kapida, no one can take power through elections. Kindly take in this bitter pill. He has many times explained other options. We have to change the other options. We have to change this evil regime. Let me see. Some of your messages are not loading. Just a minute. Okay. Yeah, you're still watching the Interface Show. We've come to the end of this particular program. Thank you, Doctor. This is Chris. Thank you, Dr. Besigye, for the mindset change advocacy from elections to a revolution in Uganda. People will soon conceive the revolution message, and we change our country for good. Enough is enough. Mozi project is a diversion. You continue to say that. I think those are just a few of the messages. Let me see if I can find others right here. Yes, okay. Yes, we have Jasper Lahisi watching live from State House, Ruakavengo, Rukungiri Municipality. Long live People's President. Long live all activists for change. Long live for all freedom fighters. Comrades, let's join hands together this year and liberate ourselves from this dictatorial regime of Mr. Museveni. Enough is enough. Mwesige, you are watching from Kienjojo. You say everyone, Alan Bohamizo, thank you so much for watching. Okay, I think you're just singing. Noman Tumuhim, Stella Nyanzi, Kakwenza, I can just see that you are watching here. All right, Doctor, As we come to the end of the show, what do you want Ugandans to understand, to take out, just from this day? You've mentioned it about Janan Luwum, but generally from the entire discussion we've had, what is that you think Ugandans should
Well, the
forget?
urgency with which we need to act as a people to save ourselves, frankly, from the effects of the capture of Uganda by the Museveni family. There is a lot of urgency needed. It's not just that we keep on talking.
Yes.
We must act very, very quickly if we are to save the situation. It's like what they say when, you know, sometimes when there is lightning, you can have chicken heat and it starts flapping its wings. They say you must save it while it is still flapping. If it has gone limp, it's too late to save it.
Yes.
That's where our country is. It's now really flapping. And if we don't save it in a timely way, I think it will be too late. This is why I highly discourage anybody looking at 2026. This country needs to be saved now. Not wait that 2026. First of all, 2026 is not going to cause any change. It is a timeline created by Mr. Museveni for his own purposes. We must create our own timeline to save ourselves.
Okay.
And I would like that timeline to be ahead of 2026.
Okay.
I'm talking quietly with different people to really have our own roadmap that can free this country.
Okay.
Yes, they will attack some people, they may kill some of us, but the country will eventually be free. And certainly we shouldn't fear death. Everybody eventually will die. Instead of dying of malaria because you can't find treatment, you'd rather die trying to free yourself and get treatment. So, and especially as I have said a little while earlier, the biggest call I make to all of you is to the young people. I really fear for your future. And the earlier you wake up, the earlier you organize and take action to cause a revolution in this country, the better for all of us. Okay. The revolution now, not tomorrow, revolution now. And I am ready to go to court 1,000 times, charged with incitement. If this is incitement, I don't mind. We shall argue the cases, but we need a revolution in our country, and now. Thank you very much for your weekly sacrifice in terms of getting the data you need to follow what is going on. But in case you have no data, this program remains saved on the various platforms on which it is broadcast. So you can, at some time that you are able, still follow what we have said today. Thank you very, very much, and I wish you a very good week ahead of us. God bless you.
Bless you too, Doctor. Thank you so much also for always honoring our invitation and coming here on time, and of course everything you've done for the past year and this year. Thank you so much, sir. I'll end up with this book. Do not forget it. Cancer ate my bones, but God preserved my spirit. A grace to thrive amidst challenging times, by a lady called Rusia Kizza Besigye. You can get this copy here at Digitalk TV. It is at 60,000 Uganda shillings. Just call Mr. Mukose Arnold Anthony. He will be able to deliver it. In Kampala, by the way, delivery is free. So be able to get this book for yourself at just 60,000 shillings. Call 0701-800-212 or just send in a direct message on our social media platforms at Digitalk TV at The Alternative Uganda. So please get this copy for yourself. Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, we didn't have time to review AFCON. We had a very interesting AFCON, a bit unusual.
Yeah,
but maybe we'll talk about that and the prospects for Uganda in the next show.
And the good thing, we are hosting it in 2027. Aren't we lucky? Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. From the time we started at exactly 12 p.m. up to now at 2 p.m., you've been able to watch us, send in those comments. Thank you so much for everybody who has done that. From the entire team, I would love to just thank you so much, and just follow us on our social media platforms at The Alternative Uganda, at Digitalk TV, at Besigye Kizza on Facebook, and also myself at Edgar Matthew Karuhanga Facebook, on Twitter. Please do follow us, and we'll continue the conversation right there. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless Uganda.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.